that don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD and Melissa.
Hey guys, welcome to the Real Estate Jam podcast. I'm JD with my wonderful co-host.
Hey JD, Melissa.
How are you?
Awesome, thank you.
Good, I'm glad. Hey, listen guys, we got a really good show. I think it's good for many different reasons, but we got Chris Craddock. He's the owner, leader, head bottle washer of REI Revive. He's really a serial entrepreneur. He has multiple seven-figure businesses. He's a team lead, has a team of retail agents underneath him. They're going to do some huge numbers this year. He's building up a lot of different streams of income, and most of them are real estate focused. So I know there's a ton of value that we're going to get out of this conversation today, and I think there's a ton of value that you guys are going to get out of the conversation today too. So grab a pen, take some notes, and let's see where this conversation goes. Chris, thanks for coming on our show today, man.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to be here and excited to spend time with you guys.
Yeah, us too. Sorry, all of us were late.
Yeah, I know.
We're putting out fires on our end. You got multiple fires put out on your end, but at the end of the day, that's kind of how these businesses work from time to time.
Yeah, all good. Well, excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, Chris, can you maybe introduce us to or introduce yourself to our audience and let them know kind of your background, how you got started, and then we'll just take the conversation from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I graduated from college in 2000, went on staff with an organization that was incredible that I loved called Young Life. It was amazing, changed my life. After being there 3 years, my wife got pregnant. I live in the DC area, and anybody that knows the DC area knows you can't live on 20 to 25,000 a year and raise a family. And so I went to the library, checked out every book I could find on real estate investing, and just started knocking on doors of distressed properties. And in 3 months, I made 12 times what I made in a year, and was able to, continue doing ministry stuff for a number of years after that. And then as you have more kids, I've got 6 of them, which finally figured out what causes it. Now I can stop it. But with 6 kids, the money just runs out quick. And so I started flipping houses again after all these other different options. I mean, literally was trying to sell my blood to NIH for $300 to buy Christmas presents for my family. Like it was, just crazy. But then I started flipping houses, and I'd gone back to school. I'd always led large teams when I was in ministry. I'd go back to school and got a master's, and then I got a doctorate in leadership. And because I just really believe that you can do a lot more with other people. And so somebody gave me Gary Keller's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Investor or Agent, although the investor one is good too, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And it was just a great color by numbers way to build out a team, and really to build it out in a way that was profitable as well. Because what I learned is there's lots of teams where people don't make any money. They've got lots of stuff going on, but no money being made. And that's just not the way to do it. Like I left the nonprofit world, right? I don't want to be in it still. And so, I think it was December 2014 that we launched. There's a long story that brought us here, but essentially we launched the retail business then. Took us 4 years to break the 100 million mark as far as volume goes. It took me I guess it was 5 years to break the $1 million mark in net income. So that was, the big number in the retail world. But then the cool thing was, as we looked at it, I saw I had coaches that were helping me understand how to create vertical integrations, which means make more money with what you're already doing. And so we ended up opening a title company, a construction company, an insurance company. I have a company called Legal Shield, which helps people with like prepaid legal. I have a company, basically hard money coaching, with EXP. So we got our EXP downline. We got all of these different integrations where, there's 13 of them. And, a number of them have become 7-figure businesses. And it's just one of those things where if you understand business and you understand scale, you realize that all businesses are the same. It's just leads and leverage. And when you can understand that, you can win at a really, really big rate. And so, the coaching business, the REI Revive piece came as, one of the biggest focuses is like, how do you do more with what you already have? Because that's where you make the most money, right? Increase your closing percentage, you make more money without paying more money, right? And so that's the same thing with REI Revive. It's how do you take these dead leads? If you're going direct to seller looking for dead leads, how do you take those leads and monetize them? And so we really did, I believe we cracked the code on how to do that, monetize at a high level. And therefore, we started this company, REI Revive.
Awesome.
I like that leads and leverage.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think there's a whole bunch to unpack there. And I think what would serve our audience best, and maybe me personally, is talking a little bit about how you are able to get more juice for the squeeze, right? How are you able to take those dead leads and get more out of them? And then maybe a little bit about how somebody who's just starting out can start to put the systems and processes in place to start to scale out that business and work it out that way.
Yeah. So the dead leads, the real key here is you got to get a real estate agent that fits, that is a partner. It is not just somebody you throw things to. This person will be a partner because literally my retail team will send as much as, anywhere around $50,000 to $60,000 a month in referral fees to investors. That's life-changing money. That's money that people have already paid for these deals that are just laying dead in their CRM. It's just found money. And when you're talking about like $500,000 to $750,000 a year in found money, that changes people's lives. And so in most real estate investors that I know, they're making good money, but I'll tell you, it's still a grind. There's real estate is sexy right now. You're competing with everybody. Everybody's, they got more dollars than they do cents right now. And so you're competing with people that are paying way too much money for properties. So how do you continue to hold your margins, but then also become profitable? Well, the key is you make more of what you've already paid for, which is your dead leads. You convert those. But the problem is so many real estate investors, they think, oh, I can go in and offer them $200,000 for a property. But then if they say no, I can then say, hey, I can list it for $300,000. And as much rapport as you think you have built, the person says, you just tried to swindle me for $100,000, even though they won't say that out loud. They won't label it because nobody likes confrontation, but they're thinking it, and you've got broken rapport and you're never going to close them for a listing. So you got to understand that there's got to be a system you follow, or it just won't work.
Sure. Absolutely. The reason that Melissa reactivated her license was for that reason. We were getting all of these leads in. There are people who wanted to sell their house. They weren't unreasonable about the price, but they weren't necessarily motivated where they needed to sell at a discount, and we didn't have anything to do. So we were sending spreadsheets full of leads out to these agents. And these are people who say, hey, I want to sell my house. I want to sell it within the next 3 months. And I want market value. I want a fair market value. Nothing too damaged, none of that problem. So we were giving these lists, these spreadsheets to these other agents, and we didn't receive a single referral check. I don't know if it's because the agents didn't think that they were actually motivated sellers or wanting to sell, or if they just thought it was another list that they would have to cold call when we'd already qualified bedrooms, bathrooms, motivations, all that kind of stuff. We couldn't get anybody to work with us. So we're throwing away a lot of money every month by doing this. So once Melissa activated her license, now the way that we do it in our company is we qualify the lead to see if they even are qualified for a cash offer from us. If they're not, if we know that from the beginning, then we'll push it over to the retail side and start feeding Melissa's other agents or Melissa herself if it's one that fits her criteria, and we're able to monetize those. And that really gave us other options. We're just throwing away so many leads every month that we're paying for, that we're making contact with, but weren't able to realize any monetary gain. And just, a couple of closed leads on that side every month pays for our marketing or pays for our VAs. And like you said, it's almost like found money.
Yeah, 100%. And that's that whole deal. Like if you can make more with what you already have, that's the best way to do it. Like, I mean, right now, and this is all I'm focused on this year. So right now, my team, what we're focused on is increasing conversion percentages. So we're looking at appointments to conversions, appointments to sign agreements right now, because frankly, what you focus on expands, what you focus on gets better. We know that. I bought a Ford Raptor a few years ago. Now I can't drive down the street without seeing Ford Raptors everywhere, right? Like that's just the way it is, because our mind focuses, gets rid of thousands of billions of data points every second, like that we don't need. But if we tell our mind that it needs this information, then we'll figure it out. And so for us, ours is like, how do we make more with what we already have, right? And so as we focus on having a higher conversion rate, we're going to figure out how to achieve that. When we focus on making more money with the leads that we've already paid for, we're going to be able to achieve that. And that's the real key. And so, I have no doubt that lots of people can figure it out, like with Revive, they'll figure it out given enough time. But for me, I spend 10% of everything I make on coaching and masterminds and on all of that, because I really do believe that you can compress decades into days, right? I could figure this stuff out in a year, maybe 2 years, maybe less than a year. But if I can go from spend a little bit of money to have somebody show me how to get there faster, the amount of money we make, if you do it right, it's absurd how much money we can make if we get to scale quick.
Sure. And you got to really look at it that you're not just paying for that knowledge, you're paying for all the time that you didn't have to spend to get there. We believe in coaching, and we do a lot of or we go to a lot of coaching, and we give a lot of coaching. But I think that you can make the decision. Do you want to pay to learn it from somebody who's already gone through the hard knocks and has a system in place, or do you want to learn it yourself? And the thing is, like what you just said earlier, was that this year you're focusing on your conversion rates. Well, that's this year, right? Last year your focus was something else, and you've built all these things up. And a new investor or a new agent coming into the game can't focus on all of these different things that you've been doing for the last 20 years, right? And so that's the key thing about the price. You're not paying to learn, you're paying to not waste time.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the key. I mean, heck, if you can go, let's say that somebody jumps into something like this and they close a deal a month, right? They make a little bit of money, but what happens if they close, if they can figure out within 30 days how to close 5 deals a month? I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy. I remember joining the first mastermind I ever joined. It cost about $15,000 a year plus the amount to go fly out to some of the different events. And so I ended up being like just over $20,000, between $20,000 and $25,000. Well, that first year I was there, just some of the tools I could trace back, some of the things that I learned that literally brought in $250,000 of top line revenue into our company. That's a 10x return for what I spent. And so, a lot of times we live with this scarcity mentality where we're so afraid of anything. But the reality is, if you have the abundance mentality, like, we're open-handed. Now, don't get me wrong. Lots of people go into crazy debt and spend crazy amounts of money. That's not what I'm recommending either, but don't be afraid to spend obviously don't go into crazy debt and do stupid things with your money, but it's okay to spend some money to invest in yourself.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you've talked a lot about the agent side. What does your investment side or your fix and flip part of your business look like right now?
Yeah, I mean, so I partner with some of the biggest wholesalers and biggest groups in the country. I personally flip, a bunch of houses every year. I have a massive, well, I say massive, the doors aren't that many, but because I live in the DC area, it's a lot of, the volume of the equity that I have in all of my rental properties is a big piece there. That's kind of where I'm focused. I also help a lot of folks that are local, just getting started in the investment world and So anyway, bottom line is
and partnerships and that kind of
thing. I mean, just everything you can do, where you're helping people. But that also fits with what I like to do is you help people and you make money when they make money, right? And so that's kind of the piece that I love. The investor world, I enjoy it, but what I really like a lot better is partnering on the agent side and teaching investors how to either build out the agent side or teaching how do you create that piece there, because I just think there's a lot of money to be made if you really do it. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I hold a lot of properties. I still do a lot of the investment piece, and the world I run with, almost every single, fix and flip, wholesale coach, these are all the guys that I run with and I spend most time with. But I like to stay in my lane a little bit more and teach people how to partner those two worlds together.
That makes sense. We just started, well, not just started, but we started running a meetup for agent investors 2 Fridays a month because there's so many real estate agents that also want to become investors, and there's so many agents that investors that could benefit from either partnering with an agent or becoming an agent themselves. How involved are you in your day-to-day management of your team? I think you said a team of 27 agents.
Yeah. So I have a pretty massive leadership team. So we've got an inside sales department that sets appointments for people. I've got a director of operations. I've got a chief operations officer. I've got somebody that kind of functions as like a head of sales and head of expansion. So I have a number of folks that are running. I've got a full-time recruiter that's recruiting folks and bringing people in. So I all of that runs, to use a Keller Williams ism from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, there's these different levels, and level 7 is where you're completely out of the business and you get a check. Level 6 is where you work on the business, but not in the business, right? You've got all these people that are running their piece. And so I'm very much level 6 on in the business here. And that's where I am in almost all of my businesses. Now I do get involved like with the coaching piece. I like to be involved. I coached high school soccer and high school golf for many, many years. Like I love to coach. I love to help people. I was administrator. The reason I did that is because I love to help people. And I think that's one of the joys of my life is doing that. And also one of the other things that I learned is, the more you help other people, I think that what's that old Chinese proverb, the teacher learns more than the student, and so when you're teaching, I think you learn a lot more than when you're being taught. So, because you have to formalize it and be able to say it in a way that's codified, that makes sense to the people learning.
Sure. Absolutely. I guess maybe when the question I want to ask now is with the recruiting side of your company. Are you out there recruiting straight out of the real estate exam course? Are you out there recruiting, multi-million-dollar producers? What does that part of your business look like?
Well, all of the above, but I'll tell you, I think newer agents are much better because they're easier to mold. Now, Here's the thing: no matter what company you're in, like I teach a lot on scaling, right? I coach wholesalers, I coach fix and flippers. I think an organization is an organization. So whether it's a retail agent business or an investment business, this is what you're looking for when you hire somebody. Somebody that's happy, hungry, humble, and smart, right? If they're not happy, it's just a matter of time before they hate their splits, they hate their whatever, they're going to hate you, right? Like if somebody, I mean, I've just seen it. Like you see, if you look at their past history and relationally, they've just had like explosions relationally in their life all throughout their whole adult life. It's just a matter of time before they're going to have an explosion with you, right? Like, success leaves clues. When somebody tells you who they are, believe them, right? And so that's the truth. So happy, hungry. Literally, I had somebody come that was so smart, so great. The person told me that during COVID, they didn't go, they decided to take a year off. Right? That's a warning sign. There's no world in which I take a year off, right? My butt is always burning, right? Like I am always wanting to do the next thing. And so, like if the door is locked, I'm going to climb in the window, right? Well, don't call the police because I don't really climb in people's windows, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I'm not going to take no for an answer, right? You got to be hungry, right? You got to figure it out. Happy, hungry, humble. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people mistake confidence for humility, or confidence and arrogance. The confidence and arrogance are two separate things. You can be confident, and humble, right? Humility is believing that you don't have it all together, putting yourself at the feet of other people, saying, how can I be better every single day? Well, I'll tell you, I talk to so many people that are not confident, right? And I tell them, hey, this is what you need to do. And they're like, oh, you're right, Chris, you're right. And then they go and don't do it. They do what they think is best. That is arrogance. Even if it's disguised as meekness or humility, it's arrogance. Humility is believing that other people know more than you do, and you're going to sit at their feet and say, teach me, and then you're going to listen to what they tell you to do, right? Like that's it. So don't mistake confidence and arrogance as the same thing. It's completely two different things. Nobody wants to be arrogant. Arrogant is another thing. There's a fine line, but the arrogance and confidence are two different things. And then the last one is smart, right? Smart is not that you've got the best, IQ or the best SAT score or anything like that. Smart is that you're a quick learner, right? Yeah, we're building a farmette here in the DC area. My wife always wanted to do horses. So now I'm surrounded by a lot of more farmer type people. And they say you never learn from the second kick of a mule, right? One of my favorite books, The Road Less Stupid, that I just read recently again, is so amazing. And the whole idea is don't pay the stupid tax. If you learn once, okay, that's okay. But if you have to learn a second time, that was the decision to be stupid and foolish.
I like that.
I love that. That is great. That's probably one of the biggest issues that we have within our company is making good hires, right? And so we've taken a lot of time to learn at that. And the other thing too is when you're just starting out, you only hire somebody when you feel like you absolutely have to. You probably hire somebody too late, right? And then you're worried about money and all these things. So early on, we got into the habit of hiring for convenience instead of hiring for the position. And we made a lot of those mistakes. They can be a really nice person, but if you have to teach them how to run a PowerPoint slideshow 4 times a month for the weekly meeting, there's a problem there. But I think now our position, we just had this conversation yesterday, is we need to always be hiring because we need people and we need to make sure that they're the right people before we bring them in, spend the time, really it's the time, but also the money to train them on doing things the way that our system works. Because when you have turnover, all of that training that we've done goes out the window. We have to start fresh. We have to rehire. We have to pay other people to train them in some cases. And it's just a waste where we might be better off not hiring the wrong person and then making sure they're a good fit for our team.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more.
I think that I'm sure that especially our agent investors are going to want to find out more about REI Revive. Can you tell us a little bit about that system, and then how they can find out more information and maybe get involved with you on that side of the house?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can go to my website, chriscraddock.com, and whether you're an agent investor or just an investor that needs to learn how to monetize those leads, that's what I'm teaching there. And the other thing, so many people were so generous with me when I was getting started. I've just decided that I'm going to answer personally every Instagram message that anybody sends me. I've got an old Instagram handle from my old high school cheesy nickname at Cradrock, Craddrock, not my last name. But, oh man, let me see. I still got 5 messages I haven't answered. I thought I almost caught up. So I may not answer within the first 24 hours, but I'll answer, right? I'll come back. But the whole thing is, if somebody wants to reach out to me there, that's great. But yeah, so REI Revive, basically what we do is the first half, we're teaching everybody, investors, how to determine what funnel to put your leads into, right? You're saying, okay, this person's likely to sell. Okay, great. Because if 20 people raise their hand and say, I want to sell in the next 6 months, which is our kind of goal. If somebody wants to sell in the next 6 months, those are the people we want to be talking with, right? Well, of those 20, maybe 16 of them are going to want retail value, right? If you're just an investor and if you've only got one tool in your tool belt, those leads, those 16 are dead, right? Well, then there's 4 left. And of the 4, what I've seen on average among most investors is that you can lock up one of those 4 as a deal. And then 3 of those 4 are probably going to sell to another investor that is going to pay stupid money for it, right? Like too high because they got more dollars than cents. And so then that's the whole key there, is to say, okay, so if I'm going to lock up 1 in every 20 people that say, I want to sell in the next 6 months, right? What about the other 19? Somebody's going to get paid on them. It's just not you. How does it make it so that you can make money on those? And so that's how we divvy that up. And then we work through the scripting of passing it off, because I'd say about 50% of the deals that we close up on the retail side would not have been closed up correctly if they would have said, hey, do you want to talk to a realtor? Do you want somebody to list it? Which is what most people do. And they don't. Oh, we'll do it for a discount, a flat fee, all these other things that they say. And nobody wants to talk to them. Maybe you get some deals, but nobody wants to talk to an agent for that. So then, so we work through the scripting. And then then the second half of the modules are working with your agent. Oh, we also teach you how to find the right agent partner, like a walkthrough to find the right person, right? Because that person, if you get the right person, it'll work really well. If you don't, it will not work well at all. And then the second half of it is we teach the agent what they need to say once they're in the house, right? Here's your script. We know that there's 5 reasons why somebody called an investor first, right? They called because they don't want to pay an agent commission. They need to sell fast, either a job move or a foreclosure, whatever. Maybe they're a hoarder and they don't want the neighbors to see what the inside of their house looks like. Maybe they think their house is too jacked up to put it on the MLS. Maybe they think that they just don't want people coming in at all hours during the day. They want people coming in a short, like this is it. I'd rather convenience. So the people that trade their car in rather than sell it on Craigslist when they know they'll make more money. So, and then there's like the 6th, which is, maybe they're just a tired landlord, but usually tired landlords are tired for one of those other reasons, right? And so with that said, we work with the agents to identify those reasons and have a script so that they can recognize that before they even say it to them. And then if they do, man, I'll tell you, at that point, you're like a tiger playing with hamsters, right? You're there, and it's just easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's a lot of really good information, and just the overview is great. But if people really want to get into it, they need to reach out to you. Go to the website and start poking around over there to find out more information.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd love to help. And anybody that's out there looking for that. Also, I mean, I know the average podcast listener listens to 7 podcasts. Obviously, keep listening to this one. I have the agent investor, it's called Uncommon Real Estate podcast. So, feel free to jump in over there if that's where you're at. If you are a licensed agent or plan to be a licensed agent and an investor, I think that's a really good place to kind of come together on that. But I mean, at the end of the day, the real key is, I know that the main gist of the audience here is investors. And what my whole thing is that you need to make more with what you're already paying for. And you're probably leaving money on the table. And And if you're like most people, you probably have either tried it, or when I say this, you're like, oh, I can figure it out on my own. And I'm sure you can. Like, there's no doubt you can. The question is, how many leads and how many tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars are you throwing away until you get it right?
Yeah,
Sure.
that was good. That was great info.
Yeah, it really is. Chris, we really appreciate you coming
Yeah.
on the show today, and I'm sure that there's a lot of listeners that you've kind of sparked something in. So I can't wait to hear the feedback on that. Man, if there's anything we can do for you, let us know. And we had a great time. Thanks.
This is great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information, check out our website, therealestatejam.com, or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Real Estate Jam. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at therealestatejam@gmail.com. See you next episode.